Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review for the 80s horror movie marathon. And this is actually a twofer. I figured, someone had asked me about Forbidden World, which I had reviewed in the past, but I'm like, you know what, let me talk about Galaxy's Terror and Forbidden World. Again, both of these films I had reviewed in the past. Like this one was given to me long ago by a very nice guy named Will363. I don't even know if the guy watches my stuff anymore. But these are two films produced by Roger Corman. And I also thought it'd be a fun double bill because they both have covers that are BS. None of these ever happen in the movie. You can do a series of movies where you actually make the movies that are on the covers. Like Robot Holocaust, you look up the VHS to that, that's not the movie. You really could have a series of movies of that. And this is two more examples. Now, I do like both of these. Let's start with Galaxy of Terror. This is a film that has Robert Englund in the cast. You have Eddie Albert, Ray Wise, Aaron Moran from Happy Days. Ray Wise. Ray Walston, sorry. Ray Walston from My Favorite Martian. Ray Wise, that's another guy. Zalmantine, who would go on to do, or at least deal with erotic movies. Sid Haig, who sadly we lost recently. May he rest in peace. Really good cast. This group of people, they go to this barren planet. Supposed to find these missing crew members. And what they find out is these strange things are happening. And you come to find out it's based on fear. Fear is utilized as a weapon. And so various things happen. One thing to note is the effects in this, I think, are very well done for a low budget movie. Granted, both these films will rip off stuff from Battle Beyond the Stars because that was a big movie Roger Corman produced, and he's like, I'm going to get as much mileage out of these special effects as possible. So that Battle Beyond the Stars footage of ships attacking other ships in space, he used that a lot. And I mean a lot. Pretty much any sci-fi film Roger Corman produced after that, you would have shots for Battle Beyond the Stars. But aside from that, there's a really nice production, again, for a low budget, different types of creatures and crazy over-the-top gore. Some really nice looking, I don't know if you want to call them map paintings, but certain wide shots that shows the areas of this planet as these people are exploring it. I gotta commend the crew and their hard work. That's why this DVD, has an actual feature about the creation of the film's sets and alien landscapes. Because they worked their butts off for such a low budget picture. Of course, this is also known because James Cameron was, I believe, a production designer on it. He worked behind the scenes on this movie. Because then afterward he would go direct The Terminator, Aliens, and so forth. And that's why there's a featurette, Future Team, memories of co-production designer and future filmmaker James Cameron from members of the cast and crew. I believe Bill Paxton worked on the crew as well as like a painter. Oh, it says here, worked as a set decorator. So, I mean, you had some nice talent both in front and behind the camera. I mean, Edward Albert, I thought he did a really good job as the lead. He was likable. He was relatable. I thought he was a strong lead for this kind of picture. Robert Englund, one of the roles where he's not a bad guy. He's actually a good guy, which didn't happen a lot. And not only is he a good guy, but he lives. I think. Which, that'll get to my one flaw I have with the movie. And the other actors do their jobs fine. Sid Haig, he's a guy who doesn't say much other than live and die by the crystals. And that becomes his undoing. And it goes at a fast pace. This movie is not that long at all. It's about 81 minutes. Very, very short. And it goes by a good pace. Again, you could tell a lot of work was put into it with small funds. And I like the idea that, granted, maybe it would have been nice to get to know a little bit more of the characters just to really get a feeling of why this was their fear that's trying to attack them or kill them. Why this is the fear that, or the manifestation of fear, why is it this for this particular person? Just something you're like, huh? Like, but I'm a sucker for that kind of idea where someone or something will use a person's fears against them. You saw that in Event Horizon, which I really enjoy. You would see that in As Above, So Below, which is a found footage movie. I think one of the better found footage films. And some fun old school effects, different types of creatures. Of course, you have the woman who, there's this maggot that becomes giant and pretty much rapes her and kind of fucks her to death. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Fucks her to death. That's a pretty out there scene. You have one person get burned up, nasty after effect. You have Sid Haig's death scene where the crystal breaks off, and really one of the better ones where it gets under the skin and goes up the skin and he cuts it off, and then the crystal daggers, sort of a big, not a ninja star, but a throwing star type of device. This crystal comes back and impales him. So like that's one where, okay, this is a guy who's obsessed with these crystals. That became his downfall. Like that's where, that death scene made more sense than maybe some of the others. I forget the woman who got burned. What was her whole deal? They might have said it in the movie and I forgot. Because I did see this a few days ago. That's my fault. I've just been busy with stuff. But there's these tube-like creatures that kill someone when they're trying to climb on this rope. Erin Moran, I forgot how gory her death is, which this is a part of the scene here. I completely forgot. It's these things that wrap around her and like squeeze. So it looks like maybe her body was cut in half because of the squeeze, but the tendrils wrap around her head, and then you see a shot and the fucking head explodes. I completely forgot about that. I'm like, wow, this is Erin Moran, the nice girl from Happy Days, and she gets like one of the, probably the goriest, nastiest death scene. I mean, having your damn head explode because of, it's like shit. And it was cool that Eddie Albert got to, he at the end, almost like a video game where, those video games back in the day where you have each boss, then by the end you have to fight all the bosses again. Well, this always got to like fight all the fears that the other crew had. So he's fighting the big maggot thing and all these other different types of monsters. As much as you can with a low budget. The only issue I have with this is the ending. So spoiler alert, folks. The ending where Ray Walston, who was part of the crew, he's actually this thing called the Master. He brought them there because this was an ancient civilization, ancient area where it was like a toy that people would deal with their fears. He did all this to find out who was worthy to be the new master, and you gotta accept or your planet will be doomed. Granted, I don't know how or why. And then, of course, Eddie Albert kills him because he fucking killed the woman he loved and all these other people, except Robert Englund. And then he becomes the new master with this, one of the lesser effects where there's just red light over his face. And I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, okay, he's the new master. Is he I guess you want to say he's a bad guy. He's this being. What's going to happen to Robert Englund's character? Because he was alive. Is he going to see this guy with red light and it's like, what the fuck? You know, what happened to Robert Englund's character? So that's what I mean. The ending does leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. That's I would say the worst part of the movie. But with that said, it's still a lot to enjoy. It's cool to see a young Robert Englund not play a villain. I know he was in that TV show, but I'm talking about movie-wise. That's the star I was thinking of, the crystal. And that's one of the creatures. Again, cool looking creatures for a low budget. And, you know, decent looking landscapes for what they were able to... I think they accomplished quite a bit of stuff. That's why I don't subscribe to the belief that some of these films nowadays, for example, Doom Annihilation, oh, it's a low budget film, who cares? This is a low budget film, and you look at all the stuff they accomplished in this, with the different monsters and landscapes. They accomplished a lot in this movie. I guarantee you this was cheaper than Doom Annihilation, so that gets no pass from me. At least that's just me. I know this is also under another title, Mind Warp, and you can actually find trailers of the film under each different title. But yeah, overall, I do like Galaxy of Terror. I think it's a pretty good one. I think it's one of Roger Corman's better produced movies. Forbidden World, I do think it's a step down from Galaxy of Terror. I don't think it has as much... It doesn't have as much imagination. It doesn't have as much production of the alien landscapes or different types of creatures compared to Galaxy of Terror. This one definitely seems like an even more lower budget than Galaxy of Terror. But this was still a pretty decent time waster. What I like about it, I like the lead guy, Jesse Vendt. I thought he was a likable, tough, but, you know, not an ass, not a... He had a good little personality to him. And the whole deal with the plot is him and his robot companion, this thing here. The robot wakes Jesse Vendt up from his cryo sleep. There's a big battle, which is, again, a lot of footage from Battle Beyond the Stars. Even more so than in Galaxy of Terror. A lot more in this. And his job is, he's a guy who fixes trouble, deals with trouble. He's told to go to this planet where this research team is at, where they are creating these experimental life form that they have called Subject 20. It was built out of the synthetic DNA called Proto-B. And the reason they're doing this is to deal with food crisis. Again, Jesse Vendt, he was a take charge, straightforward guy. Hey, if it moves, it's not one of us, shoot it. You know, that's his motto, which I understand. The creature, one little interesting thing is a creature that does change from time to time. Like, it's this more, I don't want to say starfish, but this more immobile type of thing that will spit off this little black, not goop, but this black little creature that attaches to someone's face. And then you have blood going everywhere. And then slowly it changes into this thing, which you could tell what movie's that from. Imagine a $5 xenomorph mixed with a spider. So, I mean, it's bad, but there's a certain charm to it. It definitely has some goopy, gory effects because when the creature kills someone, it ejects them with this thing so that the body and tissue of the dead will go through this metamorphosis and break down. And so you see them turn more into this gory, goopy mess. And the reason it does that is as one guy says, it's planting a tissue garden, and we're the seeds. So to make us food. And, by breaking our tissue down, metamorphosing, it'll split and split more and split more so that the creature will have, like I said, seeds and this constant wealth of food for it. Which I thought that was an interesting idea. I mean, the movie goes at a fast pace, just like Galaxy of Terror. One quick note, this was the other title for it, Mutant. What's funny thing is, this cover fucked me over in the past, because there's another film called Mutant, which I will review sometime soon when I get to 1984 horror movies, that stars Wayne Hauser and Bo Hopkins, which I really enjoy. There are many times where I was trying to find that movie, and this is the cover they have. Why? Because whoever released it, it's called Mutant, and this cover says Mutant, so put that on there. I'm like, wait a minute, I know Mutant isn't about this wannabe xenomorph, but they just put that on there. So yeah, this cover was put on the Mutant with Wayne Hauser on the old DVDs. You could probably still find them on eBay and such. The Wayne Hauser 1984 film Mutant, but it has this cover. All because of that title. I mean, Mutant is a title that makes more sense to the movie, but Forbidden World is definitely a better... I mean, this is more what the film is than this. Because I don't know what the hell this is, but that's not in the flick. I wonder if you did this nowadays, you would sue for false advertising. I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. Just none of that's in the fucking film. I mean, for Roger Corman Production, they pretty much use a lot of sets from films like Galaxy of Terror. You definitely tell it's a much lower budget flick. Yeah, moments like the two women, they're just standing out in the hallway, full-blown naked. Not that I'm complaining. There's one point where a guy's like trying to fix something, and it looks like the creature pisses on him. More like this like fluid. I forget if it's like yellow or this fluid it hits him, and then he gets electrocuted because he's working with equipment. But when I watch it again, it looks like he just pissed on the guy, and the guy electrocuted from the piss. But yeah, I mean, you have the two women naked, wet while talking. You did a good bit of nudity, which again, I'm not complaining. I like the idea of how they kill the creature, where since it's this thing that uses tissue for metamorphosis, why don't we use this cancerous tissue? I thought that was an interesting idea. And then they put it in his mouth and it starts puking. The music is interesting, and the fact that it's sort of like meow now 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 meow now. I mean, I kind of liked it. It was weird. It was different. It fit the film, but it's not your typical. I mean, it's not a lot to say about. That's why I kind of did this double review, because these films do speak for themselves. I mean, Galaxy of Terror, definitely a bit more imagination, a bit more ambitious with the different forms of creatures and landscapes, and I do think the cast is better. Like I said, you got Eddie Albert, Sid Haig, may he rest in peace, Robert Englund. This one, the cast is there. I mean, other than Jesse Vent, this guy, the other cast is pretty much there for cannon fodder. Take it or leave it. The robot, his robot buddy, really doesn't have a lot to do. Almost to the point of why it was even in the film, but yeah, the robot barely does anything. It does, like I said, it does have some goopy effects, which is nice. I mean, it's one of those like harmless time wasters. You know, there's a creature hunting people one by one. Fairly short film again. If you watch the theatrical cut, it's 77 minutes. If you watch the director's cut, it's 82 minutes. I don't know what the difference is. And these are stacked with features. I mean, This one has 2 cuts of the film, commentary with the director on the director's cut, interview with producer Roger Corman, pretty lengthy making of with the director, the composer, people worked on the effects. You have people like Dennis Skotek, Tony Randall, R. Christopher Biggs, John Cole Beekler. And then this one is pretty packed too. You got interview with Roger Corman, commentary with cast and crew, actors Robert Englund, Sid Haig, and such discuss the experience working on the movie. Memories of co-production designer James Cameron, like I said. Journey to talk about the special effects. Interview with the co-editor. Again, packed to the gills with stuff. So I think it's a fun double feature. This one, it's just, I mean, it was fun to watch, but it's nothing entirely memorable. It's nothing entirely, you're not going for originality, but I mean, it's nothing that remarkable. I mean, I think even other low-budget flicks like The Terror Within or other movies of that nature, I would put over this. I mean, this one, it got by on that sort of 80s sci-fi down and dirty charm where they're trying to replicate Alien in terms of tone of the look and aesthetic, which I'm a sucker for that. Again, with some goopy, gory effects, a creature that is bad but has a little bit of that 80s charm, a pretty decent lead, a short running time, and titties. And beautiful titties, you know, nice women. And like I said, this one, how ambitious it is, I give not only credit but kudos to, because I don't think they have, like this one, they kind of half-assed it, but you know, just maybe that's the wrong term, but it's like, it's okay. This one definitely a better. I appreciate its ambitious more. But anyway, I'm just repeating myself. Thanks for watching. Take care. Let me know your thoughts on either of these movies, Galaxy Terror and Forbidden World. Like I said, if you're a fan of the films, definitely pick up these DVDs because they're packed to the gills with features. Again, this has 2 versions of the film. They even have reversible artwork. They definitely did a good job on these. So thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next video. Later.